All right, so a common question is coming forward is about this accommodation issue. So some employers are actually asking employees to come up with ideas for accommodation, especially if it falls under the the provincial rights, the Human Rights Acts and stuff like that. Folks, again, they're trying to distract you. They're trying to get you to focus in on exemptions that simply have nothing to do with the fundamental rights that you have. Because they can argue things like your religious exemption. They can argue things like a medical exemption. Stop it. It's so much simpler than this. And you want to put it back into their court. You want to make sure that you are taking that, because it's like tennis. Get that ball back on their side of the court, make them have to take their actions, okay? You are 100% in the right. You do not need to come up with your accommodation. And here is the response that I crafted here for one of our people, works for AHS, and has been told that on Thursday she has to provide, fill out, and sign a employee request for accommodation. You don't need to fill that out. Here's why. And what I've done is that she's going to be delivering her notice of liability on Thursday when she goes in, and she's also going to attach this cover letter. The cover letter states, whereas all four, and I'm going to put this, copy paste it underneath this video as well for you, whereas all four of the COVID-19 treatments currently being approved under Emergency Use Authorization, in each of the product monographs, the Government of Canada clearly states all these studies regarding the safety, efficacy, effects, and long-term effectiveness of the COVID-19 treatments are still ongoing, and therefore are still in experimental phase. Next, whereas in the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, Article 7, no one shall be subjected without consent to medical or scientific experimentation. And whereas in the United Nations Universal Declaration of Human Rights, Articles 3 and 23, subsection 1 and 3, and Article 25, subsection 1, I have the right to life, liberty, and security of person, the right to free choice of employment, which secures an existence for me that is worthy of human dignity. Whereas in the Constitution Act of 1982, Section 7, I have the right to not be deprived of security thereof. Whereas informed consent is to be obtained without duress or coercion and the possibility of being deprived of my rightfully and freely chosen means of security puts me under duress. The policies brought forward by Covenant Health via the service corporation known as Alberta Health Services, having initiated the possible deprivation of my rights to security, it places the responsibility of my accommodation on Covenant Health. Or you can fill in the blank. Puts the responsibility of accommodation to AHS or the union. Fill in the blank, whatever it is. Folks, you don't have to come up with accommodation. They do. They are the ones initiating coercion on you. This is economic and medical coercion. And you are free from such things. You don't have to tolerate that at all. I hope that helps. Thank you so much for the great question. Shirley was the one that brought this forward. So if you have any questions, let me know. Hope that helps.